What's up, everybody? Today on the channel, look what we're making. We're making mashed potatoes, but not just any mashed potatoes. We're making smoked mashed potatoes. We're doing them inside on the stove. No smoker needed. Stay tuned. I'll show you how we did them. Welcome back to Rum and Cook. We're back in the kitchen today. It's freezing outside. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to make something that we talked about in my smoked potatoes au gratin video. I told you that potatoes don't really take smoke very well, but over the winter months I'd show you how to make smoked mashed potatoes inside. We're gonna do that today. You don't even need a smoker. I'll show you how we do it. First of all, we start with some yellow potatoes, golden potatoes. You can use red potatoes as well, but typically a yellow potato is gonna do a little bit better. And we're just gonna peel them up real quick. Now, normally when you make mashed potatoes, you can leave the skin on. For these ones, we definitely want to have the skin off. You want to let that potato take in some of the smoke. Now, this meal will go great with anything. You know, it is holidays. Actually, Christmas is on Friday this week. So if you're turkeyed out and maybe you're doing a prime rib or something like that, some type of roast, and you're looking for a compliment, this will go well. I mean, you could make this with turkey as well. I'm sure with a little bit of gravy on there, they would go perfectly fine. But this is one of those things that you can make randomly. It doesn't take a lot of extra work. It really takes about an extra 20 minutes or 30 minutes. But it's a nice little treat, and someone wouldn't be expecting it, especially if you don't have a smoker. Now the potatoes are done, nothing special going on here, but really what you want to do is you want to keep them evenly sized just so they cook as close together as possible. You want them to cook evenly, but what we're going to do, our water's almost up to boil, so I've just got a pinch here of diamond kosher salt. I'm going to put this in the water just to get some salt. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cheat. If you're a Costco fan, I like to get this garlic from there. Sometimes I don't feel like chopping it up, and it's great just to have a little bit of this around. So I'm just going to put, you know, half a teaspoon in there. Not a lot, just to give it some flavor. And I'll bring you over to the stove when we get a little closer here. And the big thing is here is chop them relatively small, because if you do that, they're going to cook a little faster for you. And there we go. So we're going to put these in the boiling water. All right, so that's the easy part. Let's get them in the water. And we're just going to let these simmer away for probably 20 or 30 minutes. You want to be able to stick a knife into them, and they should be tender. I'll show you when they're done. While we're waiting for our potatoes to cook, I'm going to show you a little trick that I like to use. This is frozen bacon, and I always keep this in the freezer for when I want like bacon bits. If I want to do, you know, a breakfast sandwich or whatever, and I just want some bacon bits. I'll show you how to make a breakfast sandwich in another video, but I use bacon bits a lot. What we're going to do is we're going to do them in the potatoes, but it's frozen, so it's easy to work with. Now I've got a plastic cutting board here because we're going to use a bread knife. I need something to get through this, and I don't want to ruin my other cutting board. So you're just going to cut through this. And that's just going to give us some strips of bacon, but remember, we're going across the grain, so when we cook these down, it's actually going to turn into some chunks of bacon, which we'll break up to put in our potatoes. And what we'll do is we'll just throw this in our frying pan. And also what we're going to do is we're going to take some onion and saute it up. We're not going to need much, so we're just going to take half of it. Real quick, we'll talk about cutting boards here real quick. So this is what's called an end grain cutting board. If you've got, well, any knife, but especially with nice knives, if you're using a plastic cutting board or a glass cutting board, it's really hard on the edge of the blade. This, you treat it with mineral oil so it keeps the grains soft. So what'll happen is you can cut into it and not hurt your knife as much. But it's just easier on your knife. So if you've got some nice knives or you want to get into getting some nice knives, make sure you invest in an end grain cutting board. So we're just going to use some olive oil in here. And you can see that that's simmering right now. We don't want that to simmer. It's a little too hot, so we're going to cool it off here. And what I'm trying to do is I'm just trying to caramelize these onions. We don't want them actually fried. We just want to sweat them down until they're really soft, and then they're going to blend right into our mashed potatoes. Now, as these onions cook, we want to put some salt in there. And what that'll do for us, that'll help draw out the water and help them caramelize a little bit better. Now, your onions are going to take probably a good 10 minutes to caramelize properly, so be patient with them. Just let them cook down. Keep stirring your bacon. So I bet you the whole time you're wondering how the heck we're going to smoke these inside without a smoker. It's real simple. First bonus tip, did you know that on aluminum foil there's little tabs here to push in? Keeps your aluminum foil in place as you pull it out. I didn't know that for many years. I saw some weird video one day and it talked about things that people didn't know about, and that was on there, and of course I did not know. So if you didn't know, now you know. But anyhow, so what we're going to do here is we're going to take a double boiling pan here. Right, so this is something you use to steam. You put this here and you close it up, right? What we're going to do is we're going to put aluminum foil on the bottom of this. And the reason for that is really just to protect the pot and make cleanup a little easier. So we're just going to put this in the bottom. Make sure it's all nice and tight so that it's all touching together. We want the heat to come through. And what we're going to do is we're going to take these wood chips. So you can get these at Home Depot, you can get them on Amazon. All right, and they're just little chunks of wood. Now in this case, I've got hickory, but you could use mesquite, you can use cherry, you can use, I've got whiskey barrel out there, comes in pecan, apple, all kinds of different flavors. But what we're doing here is we're just going to put enough on the bottom. And then we're going to put this on the stove on high. We're going to put our potatoes in here, and we're going to close this up, and we're going to wait till it starts to smoke. And then what you can do is you can dial it down a little bit. Don't be opening this up. Check it to make sure it's smoking. It will take a little bit of time to heat up, but don't open it up or you'll be getting smoke all over your house. Turn your fan on if you start to get too much smoke, but really if you get it just smoldering enough, you're going to get smoke in here. You can keep this closed, and I will typically smoke this for 20 minutes. So now I've answered your question. If you think that's cool, please subscribe, give the video a thumbs up while you're down there. Let's get the potatoes on. And this is why I was saying you might have to do it in batches if you're trying to do a big one, or if you've got a larger pan, you can do that. So let's get this on the stove. All right, so our onions are done. They actually went a little dark on us. But the flavor will be fine of them. We're going to turn them down and just keep them warm. And what we're going to do now is we're going to turn this guy on high. And we're just going to let this guy warm up until it starts to smoke. Probably going to take, I don't know, 3 to 4 minutes to get up to temperature before it smokes. All right, so it took a little longer. It took about 8 minutes. Mainly, I think, because I have heavy-duty aluminum foil. I doubled it over once, so I had to go through 4 layers. But if you look here, we have some smoke coming out. So what we're going to do is we're just going to try and balance our smoke a little bit. If it gets too crazy, just turn it down. It'll still smolder for a little bit. But as long as you keep this closed, all the smoke's really going to stay in there. Now you are going to smell a little bit of a smoke, but it's not overpowering. It's not going to stink your house. It will dissipate. So no worries there. We're going to let this go for 20 minutes. Let the smoke get in the potatoes, and then we'll put them together. All right. So, quick tip. As this starts to smoke, turn it down to low, because what will happen is the smoke will start to come over the edges and it will start to escape. I did turn on the fan. You can smell a little bit of smoke in the house. There's no way to get around that, but it will dissipate. Light a candle. But what I did here the last 2 or 3 minutes is I just turned it off and I'm letting the wood chips come down. We still got a little bit of smoke in there. All right, some of that steam, but what we're going to do is we're going to just let this sit for another minute or two, and then we're going to put it together. I'm going to take it off the heat, just let those wood chips cool down, and then we'll put it together. So it's been a few minutes now. Things have cooled off. You can see here, there's no more smoke coming out. These guys are still hot, so there is some steam coming out. It does have the smell of smoke, obviously, but it's not actually smoke anymore, just steam. So what we're going to do, we're just going to dump these. These guys over. All right, so we've got our potatoes done. They've gotten dark from the smoke. Now, here's where it gets complicated. There's many different ways to make mashed potatoes. It's completely up to you. This point on, make them however you like. I make them a couple different ways. Sometimes I just throw some sour cream in them, some salt, pepper, blend them up. Other times I'll use a ricer. If you want to make like restaurant quality, super smooth potatoes, use a ricer. It's awesome to use. I'll make another video on that. But if you're going to do that, normally you're going to heat up some butter and some cream. You're going to stir that in there and you're going to get that super smooth, creamy potato, restaurant style. I'm not going for that today. So what we got here is we got some salt, some pepper. We're going to take a good scoop of that. And we'll mix this guy in, melt our butter. And we did put a little bit of garlic in there when we cooked, but I always like to add just a little bit more. That's just straight garlic powder. Let's get our bacon. So here's our onions. Like I said, they got a little bit more darker than I wanted, but considering our potatoes are already dark, it's not going to matter too much. And our bacon. Really, we just want to get this all crumbled up. I think since we're going next level anyhow, we might as well throw in some green onions here. It's just a pair of scissors with a bunch of blades in it. The rest of our bacon in there. Can't let any of that go to waste. And some sour cream. Now, all done completely by eye, totally up to you. All depends how you like your potatoes. All right, so we had some technical difficulties. The main camera didn't come on while we were doing the final part here, but I did want to get you set up for the taste test. Definitely taste the smoke in there. Got some great flavor. You can taste some onions, you can taste the garlic, the bacon, the green onions. Just full of flavor. What I will say, it might just be over the edge a little bit on the smoky side. The one thing that I forgot to take into consideration is that after you smoke it for your 18 or 20 minutes, you take that pan or the pot off the fire and let the smoke dissipate and let that pan cool down. It's actually smoking for another, 5-7 minutes. So that put us over the edge just a little bit, I think. Now, I'm going to tear them up because I like smoke, but if you don't like a lot of smoke in your food, this might be over the edge. So what I would recommend, take it back to 15 minutes and then let it dissipate. And if you're just new to the smoking world and you're just trying to do some new things, maybe start with 10. You're really going to taste the smoke in there. Experiment with your woods. Like I said, this is hickory. You could do some pecan, it's a lighter wood. You could try some cherry, try some different woods. Cherry is probably definitely going to put some color into your potatoes, but it will add some sweetness. So maybe start with a pecan or maybe some oak. But play with your wood. Don't be afraid to experiment. Either way, this is going to be a great trick to have in your bag if you're having someone over, or maybe you're just like me and you love to cook and you just want to make something that's a treat for yourself. Highly recommend you give them a try. Thanks as always for watching. Appreciate you supporting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe, and while you're down there, give the video a thumbs up. Doing new videos every weekend. I'll see you soon.